brings us so much liberty. It is breathtaking. When we understand the timing of our prophetic words, we can rest in the knowledge that God has got everything in hand and that things will flow out for us into our prophetic purpose in a timely fashion. Striving drops away as we walk in confidence towards our prophetic design and purpose. And that's what it looks like to partner with God rather than push ahead of Him or lag behind him in fear. We read in 1 Chronicles 12:32, from the sons of Issachar, men who understood the times with knowledge of what Israel should do. That they had such wisdom and such a relationship with God that they could ask God about the timing of a matter, and they knew what it was that Israel should do at a given time. We are in such a time as that right now. And I want to encourage you that, in actual fact, we are in this sort of time all the time as we walk through our prophetic purpose in our life with Jesus. What do I mean by that? Well, quite often what happens and what the enemy would have us do is he would have us striving to step into an identity that we already inhabit. We're already in that place. We already understand who it is, or the kingdom of heaven understand who it is that we already are, but we're trying to strive to prove something when we are already that. How can I explain that? Well, for example, imagine if I became qualified as a lawyer. I then was admitted to practice, but I was running around holding up my qualifications saying, see, I'm a lawyer, see, I'm a lawyer, and then striving to get into it when I'm already qualified. I'm flat out trying to study, and I'm trying to get into an exam situation to prove that I'm a lawyer when I'm already qualified as a lawyer. It's quite similar in the spirit realm. When we're already qualified to do what it is that we're being asked to do, then we don't need to strive to prove who it is that we actually are. We see this interaction straight after Jesus is baptized in the Holy Spirit. If we have a think about Mark 1:11, my beloved son, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. God has already said, this is my beloved son. And then he is drawn out into the wilderness. And I think it's around about Matthew 4, chapter 4. I could be wrong, about 4, verse 3, I think, from memory, where Jesus is confronted by the devil, who says, if you are the Son of God, then prove it. Do this. Turn the stones into bread. Jump off this high place and let the angels pick you up or gather you in their arms. In other words, if you're the Son of God, show me. Prove who you are through performance. And this is where a lot of us are getting so tired and so burnt out, because we're striving, trying to prove to everyone around us, or just prove even to ourselves, that we are who it is that the kingdom of heaven says that we are. That's one of the areas of resistance that the enemy loves, getting us chasing our tail around. Then the other side of that story is when we're striving towards something that is not for now. It's for a future time and place. How many times have we seen that? Imagine if I just got out of secondary school or high school and I walked into the Supreme Court of Victoria and I said, I'm qualified. I would have been laughed out of there. I would have been told, no, 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 no. And if I kept on insisting, I would have ended up making a bit of a debacle of the whole situation. Probably would end up in the news if I got really, violent around it. And I would potentially get arrested and carried out. And I'm like, but you don't understand. I'm a lawyer. It's no, 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 sweetheart. You need to do the training. You need to become the person that you are going to become in a future self. So the enemy likes to get us striving to be what it is that we already are, or striving to be today what it is that we need to be journeying towards. Either way, it's a recipe for pure exhaustion. So I want to really encourage you when it comes to processing your prophetic words, there will often be keys in there that will point towards the timing of a matter. We can walk out our prophetic purpose with wisdom when we start to understand that God has things all laid out for us. And there might be some resistance around what it is that we're called to step into. But if we remain diligent and we keep stepping forwards, remaining in rest in Him, though, which is an attitude of the heart, but we keep on stepping forwards in obedience, we will get there even if mankind around us might be resisting us. Of course, we read in Habakkuk where the Lord encourages the prophet, write out the vision and make it plain. This is a life verse for me as a writer. Write out the vision and make it plain. And it goes on to say that even though it may tarry, it will arrive at the appointed time. How many people get frustrated with that word? Well, it's about doing what it is that you have at hand right now, and then leaving the rest up to God, understanding that things will unfold and that it's going to be okay. Trying to lay down offenses, even though the enemy would, try really hard to make us feel offended about things. Forgive, keep short accounts, go back into the arms of God and keep on talking to Him about what do I need to do, because God is more interested in the process than He is in the performance. We all know that, but He's also more interested in the process, because He's more interested in who you're becoming as opposed to where you're going. And I think this is the thing. He wants to build our character, and He's got all of eternity. So we might as well do the work now. Do the training that we need to do to become equipped to step into the role that He has actually apportioned for us. And then rest in the knowledge that He will open the doors at the appropriate time, as long as we're stepping forwards and we rest knowing that when a door gets shut, we go, okay, well, either you've got something better for me, or I got the timing wrong, or that wasn't where I was meant to be. And I've got testimony after testimony after testimony on my website and just through my life, through living life, the number of years that I've lived walking this out now, where I can actually say to you, as long as you keep your heart, the soil of your heart, as clean as possible, then that seed that He has planted, that seed of your prophetic purpose, will take root. It will sprout and it will grow. He wants you to fulfill your prophetic destiny more than you want to fulfill it. I can guarantee you of that. So, to know the timing of a matter really does bring liberty, because we then can rest in the knowledge that we can keep on stepping forwards, do what it is that we need to do to become equipped, to train, to grow, to develop the fruit of the Spirit, which takes time. It takes time. And then as we do that, striving drops away as we walk in confidence towards our prophetic design and purpose. And that is what it looks like to partner with God rather than push ahead of Him or lag behind in fear. From the sons of Issachar, men who understood the times with a knowledge of what Israel should do. So, has there been a moment when God's timing made everything suddenly become clear to you? Share with us in the comments. Your story might actually be exactly what someone else needs to read or hear to encourage them to keep on going. So, I'm just having a quick look at the chat. If anyone wants a prophetic word, I've got a little bit of time right now, but if not, that's not a problem. We will keep on moving forwards. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'll check on Instagram as well. It's lovely to see you all. So I'll give it a few more minutes and then we will wrap it up. So I will be coming on a lot more regularly at a regular time with some of the interns to release prophetic words to bless people that jump on. So it's good. Pray. Oh, Raman Kumar from India on YouTube. I bless your marriage and I call forth financial blessings and breakthroughs for you. God wants both of you to thrive and to step into the fullness of your prophetic purpose, into the fullness of your kingdom identity as well. Abu 9558. Now, I know that you've told me before, but who is it that you are? What's your first name? I can't remember. But what I want to say to you, or what I sense that the Spirit is saying now, anyone that actually does receive a prophetic word, remember, weigh the word. You're powerful. We hear in part, we know in part. You need to weigh and judge the word, keep what is good, and spit out the bones. Anyone can, get it wrong. Anyone, doesn't matter how powerful a prophet it is, or how experienced. That's right. And thank you so much. I think I've given you an Anna Green Gables word before. Uh, but you're not an Anne with an E, but you are complete in and of yourself. But what I actually heard, though, is that I feel that it's actually a season for you to fly now. So I don't know if you've had a season where things have got really rough, or you haven't had good health. Like, I feel like you might have, there's been a few challenges with your health, but I feel like that season's coming to an end. If that, you need to let me know if I'm hitting the mark. So that's what's called a word of knowledge, as opposed to a prophetic word, but it's insight that I think that I'm hearing from the Spirit. And I feel like what he's actually saying is, sweetheart, it's time for you to run and then set forth and start to fly. So there's things that he's purposed upon your heart that you've set aside and said, you know what, it's just all too hard. I seem to always be hitting blockages. And I want to say to you, what will be happening is you'll be flying above it. So it's a matter of you run, and as you jump in faith, he's actually going to lift you up upon wings like eagles, and he's going to cause you to fly, and that will actually fly above the circumstances. Does that make sense, Anne? Sickness is not for you. Those challenges are not for you. As well, I can see that you've said that I'm correct. So it's always a step of faith to step out and say that. Say that when you get a word of knowledge around that sort of thing. So, Anne, thank you for giving that feedback. But I really want to encourage you, even though circumstances might look like that at the moment, gather together. It's like, I actually see, it's like what the prodigal father was nearly like, where he sort of gathered together his gown, or when you're wearing a big gown, like think of a wedding gown or a ball gown, you got to gather everything up and you got to run. Well, do that, sort of gather things up and start to run. And as you step out in faith, he will meet you where you're at, and you will have a supernatural ability to step forth and fly. So I'm glad it makes sense. I think it's very, very important. People need to understand that it needs to make sense. That's why you must weigh it, because you are powerful. A prophetic word only has power when you partner your agreement with it, and then when you actually step out and do it. And I actually feel that the season is now. Again, weigh that. We're talking about timing. And when I give prophetic words, I try to ask God, is that the past? Is that the present? Is that the future? So the taking flight will be the future, the near future, not the distant future, but the gathering together and starting to, in faith, starting to run. That is for now. That is for now. So do that thing. Understand that he's going to fulfill that which is purposed upon your heart, and blessings. And with an E in the Spirit, you're complete and whole in every way. Well, I'm going to wind it up now. I can't see anyone on Instagram that wants a word, but blessings to all of you that have jumped on. I'll wind it up there, and I'll wind it up on here as well. So much love, and we'll catch you soon. Bye for now.